Hey, this is Coach Marty,
And this is Lori.
and it's time for That Sports Couple.
What?
Brought to you by
Diamond Distributing.
Colonial Exterminating Company,
Edward Jones, C. Robert Email.
Wendy Benedetto, Ladder and Blue,
Sports Pub, Dusterhead.
Adam Roussel, Riverbed, Carroll Creek, River Parishes Trophies,
The Seafood Pod.
Yep.
Welcome to That Sports Couple. I'm Lori Lyons, the sports writer. He's Marty Luquette, the coach. And you know us as That Sports Couple that you used to see everywhere until we retired. Now we don't go anywhere.
Home is good.
Home is good. But anyway, plus it's October and I'm still in the pool. So there you go. Anyway, this is episode 5 of That Sports Couple, our fun little podcast that we hope you're watching, listening to, and enjoying, and I don't know, and laughing with us and at us if you wish. We talk about River Parishes football. We don't go into X's and O's. We just talk about the games, the outstanding players that we've seen, the games that are upcoming. And this week we have an interview with a really cool guy. Yes, I covered him when he was in high school, and then I covered him as a coach, and he's a really nice guy. I really like him. His name is Wayne Stein. He's the head football coach and head baseball coach at St. Charles Catholic. So I hope all you Comets fans are checking us out this week. Marty?
Well, and it's hard to believe that we're in week 5.
It's halfway.
Well, you have to play week
Sort of.
5 to be halfway, but it's hard to believe we get this far. Of course, the storm put us back a week, but now we're starting to see teams get into districts. We're starting to see winning seasons. We're starting to see teams have to come over some adversity. This is where the season is made and done in the middle here as they get to district, and it's certainly been fun. This week we have some great games.
Yeah.
There's some fabulous games that are gonna, that are gonna tell us a lot about our teams, and maybe propel some of them to make it deep into the playoffs, and hopefully we sit in the Superdome in week 15.
There you go. It's also in so many cases homecoming week, and that always adds. Coaches love homecomings, don't they? All the dances and the extra stuff and the toilet papering and all that hide the lawn ornaments. It's homecoming week. There you go. But toilet paper's in short supply because of the dock strike, which just ended apparently a few minutes ago. So there you go. All right, Marty, let's talk about last week's games. There were some wild ones once again.
Well, go ahead. What you got on your list?
On my list, keep track of all the scores. East St. John, Destrehan. Destrehan defeated East St. John 39-16.
And East St. John really is coming off a slow start. They're starting new quarterbacks, replacing a lot of people, and it's now you're to the point where you're going to hear us this later from Coach Stein is we need to put that behind us, start moving forward, learn from our mistakes, learn from what we've been doing, and then move forward. And East St. John did not play well against Destrehan. Of course, that's a very good Destrehan team, and got beat 38-16, and really they scored their points late. So, but they've got another test this week, and they're in district, so they're fighting every week for a spot. But the most important things we're dealing with now is because district championships really don't mean anything anymore.
They used to.
I mean, they used to. First and second place used to get you in the playoffs. Third place, you were hoping for a wild card. That's not the case anymore. And with PowerPoints, and power rankings, you get it by wins. So every game, no matter who you're playing, becomes important. But the district takes on less importance because the only one that's guaranteed a spot is the winner. Mm-hmm. But if he's won the district, he's probably going to qualify anyway. Yeah. So that's why it doesn't matter. You hear a lot of the schools out of New Orleans, the big schools that are going off and playing out of state people because it doesn't matter.
Right. One of the teams I'm covering up north in Natchitoches, new coach, very young team. and they have not yet scored a touchdown. And I talk to him each week, and I ask him, Coach, are you frustrated? Are you getting nervous? He says, no, because I know that once we get to district, we'll be fine. All these games it was his predecessor who scheduled them, but all these games are getting us ready for district, and that's what matters. And they're earning a lot of power points too on the way.
But you want to win some. You got to have.
Sure you do. It's those poor kids.
I did coach on a team. Matter of fact, this is the first high school team I coached at John F. Kennedy High School. The Cougars back in 1980, and we didn't score a touchdown until week 6.
No.
We were in the midst of losing 42 straight games.
How do you like keep them from just saying, I quit this?
It's hard. And they'll quit and come back, and it all depends on the leadership of the head coach, how good a dynamic a person he is. And we struggled with that.
It's a struggle just to ask coach.
Our best linebacker quit one week, and the next week we're walking over and he's practicing with the cheerleaders. He's now a cheerleader,
Smart boy.
Yeah, he's holding up some pretty little girl, and we're 0-7 and haven't scored. Or
I'm having more fun than you are.
Somehow I'm surprised more of our guys didn't leave. Go with him. But,
that's great.
It was a heck of a way to start a football career. Like I said, we went 0-20 for 2 seasons I was there. And then I moved over to Old Perry Walker, who was a powerhouse. And we lost the first game to Shaw, the second game to Brother Martin, and they were ready to kick me out. I was 0-22.
Lord have mercy.
But that team ended up 8-2, so we were okay.
Okay. Also last week, my Tigers went down to the other Tigers. Hahnville defeated Terrebonne 51-32.
51-32. That is a great offensive display by Hahnville.
Yeah.
To put up 51 points
against that team.
Against a team that was undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Ranked in the top 10 in power rankings, top 10 in the state. Hey, they went down there and they did, actually it was at Hahnville, Terrebonne's first travel. They came to them and, great game. But Hahnville took an early lead, a 20-point lead, and then matched them point for point all the way through.
For a little while.
And when Terrebonne looked like they were going to catch up, Hahnville would score or kick a field goal, and they kept that distance. And that's a signature win in the first season for Coach Greg Boyne.
Yep. Lutcher defeated Assumption 48-0.
Lutcher's just rolling right
now.
And they're playing very, 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 very well. And they're going to get a test this week. With Vanderbilt coming into town, who's undefeated. So they're gonna get their first test of the season. Of course, they're both undefeated, so it'll be a great matchup. It is a district game, so probably determine the winner of the district. Even though it's the first or second district, the first district game they're gonna play, but that's just the way the schedule falls. But that's gonna be a great contest, and it's going to be fun. Lutcher, we need to get him on here. We keep saying we're going to get him on here. We need to get him on here.
He was on Merrick Ritchie's podcast this week, so we got to stagger anyway. We don't want to oversaturate anybody. Okay, Riverside Academy, our former employer, they had to talk about signature wins. I don't have conflicting 67 or 62.
I fixed it for you.
67 to nothing over St. Thomas Aquinas.
And that homecoming game, and it was a perfect opponent to choose.
Yeah.
And
you never want to lose your home.
Well, you also get everybody in.
Oh yeah.
Everybody gets to play, everybody goes home happy. The next night's the dance, everybody's good. Hey, life's good at Riverside Academy. And they're playing really well.
Yeah.
They lost that first game, that tough game, right off the bat, but to Terrebonne in a shootout, where the last team with the ball won. And that was unfortunate, but they've regrouped. They're 2-0. 2-1 or 2-0 since then, 2-1 in the season. And Coach Lee Russell went about this year to do a little bit of what we're talking about. He upgraded his schedule, and he picked out a couple of the top teams in 1A in the select that he may meet in the playoffs, but he knows are good teams and good programs. And he's playing one this week in Vermilion Catholic, who's coming here. They're 4-0, playing well, ranked high, number 2 in the state. Is their ranking. So he's got a great matchup this week, but last week, St. Thomas Aquinas really didn't give him any work.
As a teacher, I did not miss homecoming week because it's just crazy.
You
And
didn't want to wear your pajamas?
that would have been fun. Pajama day, and the costumes were fun.
See that you did like it.
70s day, but but I did see all the pictures, and I just all my little Riverside kids. I did miss seeing y'all. Y'all all looked wonderful for the dance, and that made me miss. But I didn't miss the trash in my room, although they cleaned it up in an hour. You can't even tell, But the costumes.
I knew you'd miss the dance because
we always went to homecoming dance. That was fun.
We always went, and so it'd be around the kids, and so that was fun. And we missed that. And of course, you're looking at it as we look at them in football uniforms. Even my team, they look so big. They look so strong.
Some of these kids were little bitty and last year, and now all of a sudden they're tall. Looking at you, Cannon.
Player of the week on defense was Brody Vickner. 12 tackles, 2 TVLs. Had a great
Excellent student.
Yeah, 4.0 student. Full-size man in 10th grade. Caden Brumfield was also a defensive player of the week for breaking up a couple passes, but getting an interception. So, hey, he's it's fun to see those guys, dual sport guys, do well and play well. This interesting story is 2 of them went from the football field on Friday night, skipped the dance, went to Lafayette and was part of PBR program baseball. So they played football on Friday and baseball on Saturday and Sunday, and then back to school on Monday, ready to go. So
and they're on the swim team. Both 2 of them are on the swim team. There you go. Small schools. That's where that was.
The swim team's taken off. Swim team's awesome.
I know. Okay. St. Charles Catholic fell to De La Salle 10-0.
And we knew that was going to be a really good game. De La Salle traditionally has had plenty of good players, and they're playing good again this year. The game went 10-0. St. Charles struggled.
They're going through a little rough patch.
And but De La Salle's real good. But hey, I am not counting out anything that Wayne Stein coaches.
Absolutely,
because I know they're going to rebound and come back tough, and watch them make a deep run in the playoffs.
Well, we talked to Coach Stein about his little rough patch that he's going through. It's been a while since St. Charles has been on this side of 0. So we talked to him. Stick around for that. St. James defeated Ponchatoula 35-13, rebounding from last week's Eaker to Terrebonne.
Well, St. James wins easily against Ponchatoula, moved to 2-1. Their only loss being to Terrebonne, where St. James actually scores a touchdown to win the game.
But it's called back.
It's called back for a penalty, and the next pass is incomplete. So they end up on the loser. They could very easily be 3-0 right now, and they're very good. And Coach Stein talked about that. He talked about he put together a tough schedule, and he challenged his kids. And this is just another one of those tough teams. And East St. John went over there week 1. St. James beat them 20-0. So there's a lot of good things going on in St. James High School. And
finally, West St. John, another signature win. It's a lot of points scored this week. West St. John defeated Houma Christian. Come on, Houma. 60-0.
The thing that
West St. John's like, okay, here we go. Now we're ready.
Well, and with low numbers and what they've been fighting, that's a big number. And you say, okay, it was Houma Christian. Houma Christian went into the game 2-0.
Yeah.
It's not like Houma Christian's been playing well.
Yes.
And they just ran into a buzzsaw, and West St. John put up big numbers.
Big numbers.
It's hard to score 60 points.
Yes, it is.
It's hard to score 60 points. And they were able to do that and win, and they have another winnable game this week, so they're looking good. And then of course they got Riverside facing them down the road.
Yes. All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and you're going to go and see our sponsors. Please visit our sponsors. I want to say thanks to our wonderful sponsors who jumped on our little bandwagon early and have not hopped off. And and supported us and helped us get this started, believed in us. So please believe in them and go get you some seafood pot or a really good burger from Sports Pub, or call Wendy Benedetto and see if she can sell you a house or sell your house. And Marty loves the chiropractor right now. And if you have bugs, you can call the exterminators. And who else we have? Who else do we have?
Robert Email.
Oh, Robert, we don't have any money. If we had money, we would go see Robert Email and he would make us more money, but we don't have any. But if you do, go see Robert Email.
But, you mentioned Wendy, and Wendy's just been one of the top realtors in the area for years and years.
And you coached her son.
I did. And her husband also was involved in some of the first and the original travel baseball. So we're going to get them on here to be guests with us one day. And
Diamond Distributing. Hubig's Pies.
How do you forget Diamond?
I know. Apple.
The only Diamond's helped us out so much and has done so much in this area. And we're extremely excited about having him as one of us.
They also have the freeze-dried candies that are really, really good.
You can show them a bag if you want.
I have some. Yes, I do.
I
would eat them, but then I wouldn't be able to talk. All right, come right back, please. Brought to you by Diamond Distributing. They're the guys who deliver the Hubig's Pies.
Lemon!
No apple. If you don't see your favorite pie and freeze-dried goodies at your store, have them call Diamond Distributing.
Brought to you by Colonial Exterminating Company, a local family-owned company that will help you get rid of your termites, pests, and rodents. They're a Christ-based company looking forward to serving you.
Brought to you by Robert Hemel at Edward Jones Investing on Belterre Boulevard in Laplace. Trust Robert with all your investment needs.
Brought to you by Wendy Benedetto at Ladder and Bloom. If you are buying or selling your home, call the best in the business. Let Wendy Benedetto get you home.
Welcome back to That Sports Couple, episode 5. I hope you wrote down the names of all of those sponsors so you know where to go and who to call. If not, they're all on our website, thatsportscouple.com.
Well, Lori, we're talking about how quick the season's going, and it's being week 5 already. But, besides the week where we lost the games because of the storms, we've had a lot of rain.
I know.
On Friday nights, which is,
hurricane.
We can see last week when it was dry, the numbers that teams put up.
Good point.
But this week we're looking at another rainy Friday night.
Grab your ponchos and go.
So it could be a rough sledding. But my problem with rainy nights is that we don't get to see the talent of the team in its full glory. See all its speed, how it handles the ball, all the things it can do. We end up with something different. But that's you play football outside.
And everybody plays in the same weather.
If you wanted it to be nice, be a basketball coach.
What if your roof leaks?
Huh?
What if your roof leaks?
That's the only. It doesn't matter. A leaky roof's a lot better than a rainy doubleheader.
Baseball they cancel.
If it rains enough, you get to go home. But come back and do it another day.
Oh, there you go.
But let's go over this week.
This week in River Parishes football. Destrehan at Terrebonne. You know where that's my school.
Destrehan comes in with a 2-2 record, having knocked off East St. John last week, 39-16. They have 2 losses, one to Alexandria, one to Catholic High, 2 of the best programs in the state. Both are select, so they won't see either one of them in the playoffs. I think that was their concept. And they had a win against Bonneville. They're still answering questions. Their quarterback got hurt week 1, and they're playing, as Coach Scott told us last week, they're playing with freshmen and a lot of Wildcats and Wildcat, and they're just doing some different things. But defensively, they're still real good, and they proved that again last week against East St. John. And East St. John, St. John's struggling. East St. John's 0-3. A lot of changes. Of course, he played a pretty decent schedule himself. Even with St. James first week, he loses 20-0. Plays Hammond High, who I think we didn't know Hammond was as good as they were,
Hmm.
and Hammond beats them 34-7. Of course, Destrehan 39-16. So are they done? Is the season over?
No,
Is it
indeed
time to
not.
scrap it?
No.
No, because
They're
you
gonna
can
figure it out.
you can run 5 games in a row and put yourself in the playoffs, and then be hot going in.
Coach Brown is building there. And then, some programs you come in and you build and it goes up like a prefab house. There you go. Some you got to build them brick by brick. And he's over there. And I think that's his motto, brick by brick. He is not a prefab house. He's got to build from the ground up. And that's what he's doing. And I think he's doing a great job. Come on. Everybody goes through those patches where they have a little identity crisis or whatever. And sometimes you got to change the paint, and there you go.
And we can move right into his game. Matter
Yep.
of fact, he plays at home this week, which is always a plus. And he plays Thibodeau. Now Thibodeau comes in 2-1, having beat South Lafourche and Assumption, and then went into Central Lafourche last week, thinking they were in a pretty good place. And Central Lafourche, who has been the doormat of the district for the last few years, knocked them off. And Central Lafourche got 3 wins already, so they're not the doormat of anything anymore. You're going to have to prove you can beat them, and of course that's going to be coming down the road for our teams. But this week it's Thibodeau, and Thibodeau brings lots of athletes. Last year East St. John beat them, and it was a big win for them because Thibodeau was right. They ended up making the last spot in the playoffs, which gives you a trip to Neville. But it's still in the playoffs, and I think that's what East St. John's striving to do now.
Yeah, there you go. Also, Bourgeois, it's like Homo week. Bourgeois at Hahnville this week. Bourgeois was Terrebonne's big rival, and my boyfriend went to Bourgeois, and they beat us my senior year. So there you go.
HL Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
When once again, here we go. You have to go way back to find it when Bourgeois was a contender in the district. But and Lori's saying, it's Homo, it's the Bayou week. Well, that's their district.
Yeah, I know.
Hahnville and Destrehan, East St. John, go play the Bayou schools all the time.
I know.
That's kind of how Eric Ritchie got the
up the river down the bayou.
Up the river down the bayou, because it all meshes so well with all the teams. Once again, he did one of his stories on Lutcher this week, who's playing Vanderbilt, who's undefeated. So it's all plays in for him. He's doing his podcast is doing well too. But HL Bourgeois is 3-1. Okay, now they played Ascension Catholic, who they lost to. They beat Assumption.
Well, Narcisse, and he's doing really good.
They beat Assumptions and Central Catholic, and then last week they who did they play? They beat Patterson.
Oh, okay.
They beat Patterson. So they, not terribly talented teams, but you just don't know. And once again, you start adding water to the mix.
Yes.
And you'll see what happens. Hahnville coming off of a big win. That was a fabulous win against Terrebonne. Their offense is 51 points that game. They're going to score. They're going to they've been scoring points. 42 against Booker T, and then they had the tough game against Edie White where they scored 16, but 16 against Edie White's a pretty good night. And Edie White's very talented. So Hahnville's been playing well, but they come in 1-0 in district. HL comes in 0-0 in district. So we're going to see what happens, and things will start lining themselves up soon.
There you go. Vanderbilt is at Letcher.
If you want to see a knockout, drag out brawl,
that's the game you would go to.
This is the one. Vanderbilt comes in 4-0. Letcher comes in 3-0. Both of them number 6, okay, and number 4 in their respective classifications. It's both of them playing well. Both of them throwing some defense around, not giving up much points. It's gonna be
a battle.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch, and Letcher's been putting up they put up 48 last week against Assumption, 28 against Liberty, and 28 against Slidell. So they're capable of putting up enough points to win.
There you go.
And Vanderbilt, who beat Central Lafourche, we just talked about how well they were playing. They beat them 38-7. They beat John Ehret 28-13. They went to Sulphur and won 28-6. So Vanderbilt comes out and goes bing bang boom, 3 5A schools, all good programs, and comes out with
great matchup
with wins. Of course, they play Morgan City in district last week, and pick your score.
Right,
48-8 is what they ended up. So this is the matchup of the week. Don't get me wrong, when St. James and St. Charles get together,
that's a rivalry
for us. That's a big one.
River Parishes.
But for district and state rankings, this is a big game right here, and it's going to be fun to see who wins that.
All right, well, moving on to St. James at St. Charles Catholic. It's been a while since these two teams played. Coach Stein and I talked about it. They used to play back in the O's. They used to play every year. St. James's last win against St. Charles Catholic was in 2005, and then they dropped each other from the schedule for a long time, and then they replayed again in 17 and 18. St. Charles won both of those. But so I think that the alumni for both of these schools is gonna jump, and they're gonna come to this game. There's gonna be a wild atmosphere because St. Charles has both schools have great alumni support, and I think this is gonna be a fun one.
Which is why you don't want to see the weather get involved.
I know.
You want it to be dry so people will make that trip.
Rain
They're not going to go.
Line.
You're going to cut. You're going to cut out some of the crowd and some of the atmosphere by the weather if the weather
it's really bad.
Yeah. So we hope that the rain comes in the morning and then clears out.
Both these people are diehards. They're going to have their ponchos out.
Yeah, but you don't get to see the full contest.
That's true.
St. Charles has played Newman, Dunham, and De La Salle, so they played the gauntlet so far, and it come up on the short end of 3, but that's now they're playing St. James, so
Wayne Stein did not shirk from playing a tough schedule.
St. James comes in as the number 2 power ranked team in his classification, and St. Charles has played Newman, who was 2, Dunham, who was 4, and De La Salle, who was 8. So if you make mistakes or any mistakes or you're not in the right place, you're going to get beat, and that is the trademark of St. Charles football.
So you would go to the Letcher game. I would go to the St. Charles game.
And then of course St. James, who had an easy win last week against Ponchatoula, a 5A school, and they beat East St. John, a 5A school. They beat a 5A school in Terrebonne. Got to call it back, and then didn't get. So they are right there too. So if you're looking at matchups and numbers and are you tested? These teams are tested.
These teams are tested and they're ready. And finally, West St. John hosts East Iberville. That could be another one that West St. John gets to show off a little bit.
I looked at East Iberville has been one of the bottom teams in the state for years. And so I just hadn't paid that much attention until they're going to play West St. John. I go back and they're 3-1.
Oh, there you go. Who've they beaten?
Well, that's the thing.
Oh.
They're 3-1, but they played little small schools in Baton Rouge, so they haven't been tested.
Have not.
They beat Northeast, Helix Academy, and Capitol High. So we don't know what they're going to bring in. And then but they're going to come in. They're still coming in.
Well, I think West St. John showed that they were awake that last week.
Well, they were 3-1, and then last week they lost. So they're 3-1. They were 3-0. Last week they lost to Donaldsonville, 48-8.
There you go.
Well, West St. John played Donaldsonville 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And beat them handily.
Yes.
So if you count that way, I shouldn't say handily. 34-32 is not handily.
No.
They scored late and won the game, but. And then West St. John had the big numbers against Houma Christian, who was undefeated. So, it sounds like West St. John's getting their act together and really playing well right now, which we'll find out. And then we'll find out if East Iberville's 3-1 record and number 13 ranking in the state is going to stand up.
You say Iberville, I say Iberville.
Well, whatever. I grew up a Yankee, and you're probably right.
I don't know. Sir D'Iberville, I believe. Anyway, all right. So we're going to take another break, go visit our sponsors, write them down, find out where they are. And when we come back, we'll talk to Coach Wayne Stein at St. Charles Catholic.
Brought to you by Riverbend Chiropractic. Come see Dr. Adam Roussel for pain relief. His decompression table will change your life. Call Riverbend Chiropractic in Destrehan.
Brought to you by the Sports Pub in Destrehan. For fabulous food and big screen TVs, come to the Sports Pub for all the action. It's a must after your big game. Brought to you by Tri-Parish Trophies in Reserve. When it's time to acknowledge someone's accomplishments, let Tri-Parish Trophies help. They're also your sign and printing professionals. Let them help you. They're a family-owned company. Brought to you by the Seafood Pot in New Sarpy, the best seafood in the River Parishes. Crabs, shrimp, seafood platters, po' boys, and those daiquiris. Doesn't get any better than the Seafood Pot. Welcome back to That Sports Couple, episode 5. We were very fortunate this week to get a chance to talk to St. Charles Catholic head football coach and head baseball coach Wayne Stein. He and I go way back. I covered him when he was a player at St. Charles Catholic. And yes, he reminded me of that. And that means I'm old. I've been around a long time. And I do remember, I think it was his last game, and his cousin is Ty Monica, and they were on the same team. And it was one of them's last game, and they lost. And they were crying and hugging and saying goodbye to each other, like just absorbing that last memory. And I was like, with my recorder, I'm going to go get a quote. Oh, no, I'm not. And I just kept walking.
All the years.
But I remember that moment.
All the years he's been there as an assistant and coached, for Frank Monica at football, but also under Paul Wagsback, the Louisiana Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Famer. I got a chance to be on the field against Wayne a lot. And what a competitor! Mm-hmm. What a great job they do of getting the most out of their talent. Yeah. And that's the thing that stands out the most. That's why I know that this season's going to turn around. So
yeah. They're going through a little rough patch. They're 0-4 right now.
3.
Oh, sorry, they lost. We lost one to hurricane, not to the field. 0-3, and I don't think they haven't been that in a very long time. So we talked about that. And talked about keeping spirits up, and also what it's like to be part of a sports couple, because we know. All right, here's our interview with Coach Wayne Stein.
Go ahead.
Well, welcome back to That Sports Couple. Today we have with us St. Charles Catholic football coach Wayne Stein. We go way back, Wayne Stein. I covered you when you were in high school, Wayne Stein.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that. I didn't want to show anybody's age, Laurie, but you did write an article on me going into my senior year, which I appreciated.
There you go. And I believe I was there for your last game, and you and I think Ty was playing on the team with you, or he was there, and y'all were crying, and I wanted to get a quote from you, but y'all were crying, and I went, oop, I'm going to leave them alone.
Yeah, that was probably right.
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of crying at St. Charles Catholic in the last couple of years with the teams you've coached.
More cheering.
Yeah, I mean, what a fabulous run you all have been on, and hey, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it's and we're dealing with 0-3 right now for the first time in a long time, but we've been blessed. I wasn't naive to think that what we were doing was going to be like that every year. I have been proud of the way we've handled adversity this season, but it's been a phenomenal run. It changed the whole mindset of really our whole school. I think forever just getting there, we were happy to just get there, and last year to have 2 runner-ups and to feel disgusted as a community, I'm proud of that. As devastated as I was that it didn't end the way we wanted it to, I'm proud that we've raised the stakes so much that having 3 runner-up trophies at our athletic banquet was a failure of a year.
I saw y'all had a guest speaker at your quarterback club, and you were in front of the trophy case. I think it was Taysom Hill, and I saw the picture in front of the trophy case. And that was an impressive. That's an impressive wall.
Yeah, what we're proud of is we think that the wall has, it's not just one sport. A little bit of football,
Right.
baseball, softball, swimming. So we've been multidimensional for quite some time, especially the last 20 to 25 years. And we're doing things, I think about whenever I was here, like when you covered us, Laura. I mean, the things that we're doing weren't even, weren't even a fantasy. Like that's how far away they were, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what even something that you could think of. So we are a little bit spoiled, right, from what's happened, my community and my players. But we're eating a little bit of humble pie right now. But I think that's something that's going to be good for us, and I hope that we can overcome it.
Well, that was my next question. It's adversity and something you're not used to. How are the players and the community handling it?
The players have been great. We're still making some mistakes, but I don't think if you came watch us practice, you could tell if we were 0-3 or 3-0. And I'm proud of that. Our coaching staff has stuck together, and we've continued to, soul search. What are some of the things? And then I told the kids, when it's time for us to win, we'll win. There's things that we're doing on Friday nights that aren't winning football. There's things that we need to do better as a coaching staff, and so I've been surprised and excited about the way we've attacked each day. Uh, but we're gonna have to play better if we want it to change. One thing, and this is my fault, and I tell the kids this every day. I didn't schedule one win. I went out and scheduled the best schedule that we could play.
This is a
I thought
brutal
our pro,
schedule.
I thought our program was at that point where it's time. In the day and age of social media, I think you got to play good people for people to come to the
Right.
game. So
Yeah.
that's what I went out and did. And right now we're 0-3. We lost to three pretty solid teams, and we continue that the next couple of weeks and really throughout the whole schedule. So I never checked the power rating before, but I'm checking it right now, and you know, so we got some work to do.
I gotcha.
Well, you certainly have not avoided any of the top teams in the state, that's for sure. And you're also adjusting to moving up in classification. How did you all decide exactly how that was going to work? I know you were placed in one and you chose to play in another. Could tell us how that went about?
Yeah, so we were going to be a 3A school, and we were ready for the next challenge. I thought anyway. I say this, and some people try to hold it, tell me like we're going to do it in 2 years. The ultimate goal is to maybe one day grow enrollment enough and be good enough to play in the Catholic League. Now, that's not happening in 2 years. It's not happening probably in 4 years, but that is the goal. And I was always taught that, if your goals don't scare you, then it's not a very good goal. So, we hope that, this was the first step to maybe that transition, and uh, I think that we are a young football team. There's a lot of talent in the program at all levels. And when that decision comes down to it, y'all, you know this, Marty, you got to look at it from an AD perspective, not just a football or baseball. We feel confident that in football and baseball we can compete at a lot of levels, but you have to make sure that your basketball and your girl sports as well, that it's
Right.
a good fit for them. So it doesn't affect volleyball and swim and things of that because they're division sports. It just really affects football, baseball, basketball, softball, track. So those are all things we'll continue to evaluate. The decision, though, I will say this: I didn't make alone. We sat down with the head coaches of each sport, actually gave each one a vote. And I mean, I had one coach who he coaches two sports, and he was honest. And as the head coach of one sport, he voted to stay down. As the head coach of the other sport, he voted to go up. So I
Smart guy.
gotta respect that about our
Was that
staff. I think
you?
it was not me. It was not me. So I respect that about our staff, and the vote said for us to play up, and we got the support from our administration. So that was what we decided to do.
You are one of the few coaches that juggles two sports. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Laura, it's not something I would suggest to anybody, right? But it is I don't know anything different. In the era that we were all raised, right? You played football during football and you played baseball during baseball. And people ask me which one I love the most. I mean, I feel like I'm still like a kid. I love
I
football
got
during
you that.
football season and baseball during baseball season. And I really don't think about the other during that time. And so I think that that breeds into our kids. I think our kids are committed to both sports at the time. Obviously, there are things that they do to prepare themselves for the next sport. It's not something I think I'm gonna be able to do for a long, long time, but it's something that I'm committed to do for right now, and I'm gonna take it on a year by year basis. As you know, it's very tough on your family. Believe it or not, Marty knows this. Baseball is tougher on family life than football.
Oh yeah.
Football is a 7 day commitment, but it is a organized. You know where you're at when you're walking in the door 7 days. Baseball, you might play Monday night, you might play Tuesday night, your freshman team might play somewhere. You really don't know when you're walking in the door, and you guys know this as you raise children. It's tough whenever you come home and your kids are already asleep and
Yeah.
you leave before they wake up. And
Yeah.
so you slept in the same house as them, but they have no idea that you have.
Hmm. And just trying to get to other events and things. How old are your children?
So I have one that's 13, my boy. My lone boy is 13. He'll be at St. Charles next year.
Well, that'll make
I have
things
a
easy.
It will make it a little easier. I hope we can make up for some borrowed time, or lost time. And then I have a daughter who's 10 and a daughter who's 5.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know, obviously, how much my daughters do need me, so it's tough. They don't know anything different, but
Right.
it is a strain. And to think that, my son was born in 2011 when we won our first state championship. To think that he's already 13 is it's really it's yeah, I've blinked and he's here.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, it makes for an interesting life, that's for sure. When you're doing all that, but talk about a little bit about St. Charles and the school and some of the positive things that are going on around there. I know it's more than
So
just sports.
no doubt, we're blessed. First of all, I've been blessed. This is my third principal I've worked for. I worked for Mr. Andrew Cupid, who was great to work for, and then we had Dr. Courtney Miet, who again I thought continued to grow our school and bring it to another level, and now Dr. Shelley Chauvin, who again shares the same ambitions and goals as we do. And we've been able, just like a lot of people here in the River Parish, we took a pretty direct hit from Hurricane Ida,
Right.
and we're finally, not just back to where we were before, but better. We've had multiple improvements. We've a lot of things around here were built as temporary and became permanent. So you're always patching things, and we've got a great plan to continue to grow the facility, not just for athletics but academics. And I think we have a well-rounded school. I mean, winning's important to us, but it's not. We don't feel like we're going to sacrifice our values to win. We've been blessed to win championships, uh, but we also know that you know we've been blessed. Like that's not something
Right.
that's going to always happen. And we're going through that a little bit right now. So I think as long as we stick to that aspect, I mean, one thing we do have so many alum that work here that
I was
I
gonna
care
say, yeah.
about. I care about the diploma that's given out to these kids. I care that one day when my kids graduate, they're gonna be an alum just like me. So
Right.
I hope that we putting out well-rounded individuals. We have so many multi-sport athletes, so many multi-talented students that are involved in so many things. One of my proudest things about football, we have 122 football players. We have over 80 something when you talk about cheerleaders, dance team, drum corps. We have a great student section. You're not going to come to a game here and not have over 300 of the
Oh,
430
absolutely.
student body. So
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about what we're doing. Our enrollments is continuing to grow. So we think that it's an exciting time to be a Comet.
Yeah. Well, this week you got St. James, and according to my trusty little book that I trust everything with, y'all have not played since, is it 2005? Is that correct?
We actually played in 2000, I think 18.
Okay.
They were in our district
This one.
again for a short time frame. I
Mm-hmm.
want to say 17 and 18. I know the last time we played in 18, we won in overtime. We've had quite a few battles that have ended in overtime. It's a shame. It shows you my age, Laurie. Our kids have no idea the rivalry. They have no
Oh, I
idea the
know.
history. I'm
I
talking
know.
about. I'm talking about 2005. We tackled Ambrose at the 3-yard line to win the game, and our kids are looking at me like I wasn't even born. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, it's a big
There was
moment in
some
my life.
great
So
games with I'd say at the old St. James with the train running. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a shame they don't know it all, but I mean, it's gonna be. I think it'll be a good crowd. Levante Davis shares my same vision in trying to get more River Parish teams to play one another to get,
Right.
it prepares you for the playoffs. It gets people in the seat. So we're excited about the challenge.
And this is not a gimme win either. I mean, this one's going to be a test. They played tough
Yeah,
the last couple weeks.
I don't think that I have one on the schedule. So I don't want to sound like a loser because losers say this. We're 5 or 6 plays from being 3-0, and we didn't
Yeah,
make them. So
right.
I don't think we're far, but there's no guarantee. Like I said, like I've continued to tell the kids, when it's time for us to win, we'll win. I mean, we're gonna have to earn it. We're not gonna play somebody that's just gonna give it to us.
Well, and then next week it doesn't get any easier. You play my alma mater, Terrebonne. Talk about
Yes.
that one a little bit. Look ahead. I hate, I know you don't like to look ahead, but look ahead
Well,
a little
right.
bit.
It's easy for you to kind of talk to me about it because they beat St. James, so we got to watch that tape, and they're
There you go.
explosive.
But
They're
that was a
well coached.
war, wasn't it? That was a war
It
back and forth.
was.
Yes.
It was. In fact, there was a big play, it was the right call. Big play for St. James that gets a touchdown that
Right.
would have won it for St. James.
Yeah.
That got called back, illegal formation. But just again, a bunch of athletes, well schooled offensive line. So that again, it doesn't get any easier. And then after that, people don't even know the team from Texas, which hey, I didn't know this either when I scheduled them. Has a 5-star quarterback. They had Brother Martin beat. So it doesn't get any easier
You
for
need
the
a new
Commons.
schedule
So
maker, is what you need.
yeah, I do.
I remember last year you said, "Oh, Marty, you upgraded your schedule. See where it got me."
Yeah.
Well, let's go back a little bit. You talked about a little bit about what you were playing, but let's talk about the guy you got to play for.
Yes.
We got to go and see Frank Monica get inducted last summer, but you got to be there every day with him as a player and then later as a coach. So tell us about Frank and what and what he's left behind at St. Charles Catholic.
Big shoes
Yes.
to fill, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't follow much of his lessons in that regard. He never follow a legend, but I did that anyway. But besides my parents, Frank is the biggest influence in my life, and probably the biggest influence in me choosing this career. For one, he tried to talk me, Ty, and Nicholas all out of choosing this career. He even convinced Ty to go to medical school for a little while, and that didn't. I mean, he
I
finished, but he
didn't know
didn't
that.
use it. He ended up going. Ended up coming right back and doing this. But I think the greatest thing that Coach Monica did for working for him, obviously, he just look, there was never a day that you couldn't bring your best, right? You could not limp through a day, and he had high expectations for his coaches, high expectations for his players, and he raised the expectations of our school. I think we went from a whole hum school to really believing that those types of things were possible. And it was a process. A lot of people don't remember this. His first year, they were 2-8. His second year, they were
Mm.
3-7. We have not won less than 7 games since. We're gonna probably put that to the test this season. Uh, but at the end of the day, I think that it was a gradual grind, and he left the program obviously better than he found it. And then I've just tried to do the same thing. I've tried to take it. I've tried to have a blueprint for the continued improvement, the continued change. And he's always still for me. I mean, we talk at least once a week. We'll talk scheme sometimes. He's still on huddle. He watches film. It's funny though. He has a different mindset. As the guy watching it, I always get on him. When I was working for him, it didn't matter if we were playing middle school. Everybody was on pins and needles. We were going to get beat. Now he watches the film and tells me how much better we are than the opponent. He surely never told me that when I worked for him as a defensive coordinator. So I got a chance to be hands on, and as you know, Marty, he loves baseball.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a part of him that regrets that he gave up baseball. But I enjoyed those times sitting in the office and talking baseball as well in the off season when I was in baseball and talking those things. So I got a chance to get a lot of people can't wait to be a head coach, right? And I knew I wanted to be a head coach one day, but I was blessed. I worked for Paul Waggis back in baseball for 10 years as an assistant, and I'd have done that for as long as they wanted. And I worked for Frank Monica for 17 years as an assistant. And so far, obviously the jury's still out. I've been able to maintain and learn from those experiences, and it gave me a role in which I had to make decisions and have responsibility. And I owe those two for my success as much as anyone.
Yeah.
And Paul, of course, was recently also inducted into the Louisiana Baseball Coaches Association, a
He
Hall of
was.
Fame.
I was able to be the one to
Yeah,
present him, and
yeah,
that was a special moment for me.
yeah. And he had a great career. If it wasn't for Parkview Baptist and ML Woodruff, you all would have had a lot for championships.
You need another wall.
Right. Well, we say the same thing. We kind of arrived as a school, and it kind of gets lost. We kind of arrived as a school at the same time that John Curtis was mandated to play 2A. And,
Right.
we losing the state championship to them in '05 and '06, and we lose to Evangel and Curtis in '09 and '10. So that would have had the capability of possibly being our fifth state championship. But
Yeah.
I do think that those years, taught us something, right? And kind of helped us grow into the machine that we kind of have become. So
Taught us that
uh,
we don't like to play in the snow in Shreveport.
that's right. That's right. That was interesting. I do
I
know. I
was
think. I
there.
think we have to hold the record of St. Charles Catholic for most venues that a state championship's been played in.
That's a good one. Yes, probably.
Because we played in Shreveport in '05. We played in the Dome, obviously, in '06. Dome in '11. In '19, we played Lafayette Christian at UL Lafayette. In '20, we played in Northwestern State. '21, we played at Tulane. And '22 and '23, we played in the Dome.
All right. Well, next time you make it to state, remind me and I'll do that story. That'd be a fun story to do because I don't know who I'll do it for, but I'll do it for somebody.
She's working for about 4 different outlets now.
Yep. Got to do what you got to do,
I hear you.
Well, sometimes when you're a sports couple, too much togetherness can be not a good thing. So you
I
have
understand
the
that.
whole weekend and you look at each other like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do now?
Now I got to ask you a question. We keep saying we're going to have Coach and his wife on. Would your wife come on? Would she be interested in doing an interview? Just
Probably not. I might be able to talk her into it. That's more my thing than it is hers.
Yeah.
But
well,
What would she say? What is your wife's name?
Christine,
Christine. What would she say is the most difficult thing about being married to a coach?
I think it's this. She is a planner. Every Sunday, she kind of does a 1 week plan. I do it for St. Charles football, and she does it for like the Stein family. We got 3 kids all involved in stuff between dancing, the flag football, the tackle football, the travel baseball. And I think the toughest thing is, and look, we're blessed. My wife is an identical twin. My mother-in-law lives with us, so we do have a lot of help. But, I'm not, I'm out the equation as far as who can bring somebody where, right? So I think she would say that's the hardest thing is, it's the closest thing to being a single mom.
Right.
She does say that she rather me be a coach and a shift worker because at least we spend the night in the same bed. But at the end of the day, I think that's the toughest part. And look, this, Marty. It's even tougher when when I've been blessed. Things been going good for a long time. When things are going bad, like this little stretch right now, it's not something I'm proud of. But at nights when I'm sleeping at the office and there's a lot of self pity going on that I need to grow up out
That's the
of.
hard
So,
part. Yes, is
that's the tough part.
what do you suppose? What do you say to make him feel better? Oh, you gave it your best, and you played better. And he looks at me and goes, "Shut up."
Yeah.
well, she uses the term of it's my cave. I'll come in and she gives me a little time to go through it and rework it and do that before we discuss it. And then you usually can put it away. But one thing about baseball that I loved compared to being a football coach was that you're playing 2 days and 2 days later you're playing again. Where
That's a
football you
fact.
sit on that for a week.
That's a fact. And then we lost to Newman and Ida hit, so we sat on it for 14 days.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
Oh goodness.
You know, and we had been 688 days since we lost our regular season game, and it had been 702 days since we lost at St. Charles. And finally, I had to grow up and say, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's really about right now. And so that's what we've kind of turned to and focused on. But it's definitely tough. I mean, and what people don't understand is, you know, your wife tries to console you, and uh, you know, we are in a profession where we fail in public, right? Everybody else's profession, they have a bad day at work, something happens.
Nobody knows about it.
Nobody knows about it. Nobody's writing about it. Nobody's interviewing about it. Nobody's talking about it at the water cooler. So that is the toughest part, you know, of this profession is your failures are out there in the open, and you know you got to be able to handle that.
I want you to know it's not easy to pick up the phone and call the coach and say, Coach, you're going through a rough patch. Tell me what it's been like. That's not easy either.
Right. I'm sure.
Did not like it, but you know, all those numbers you just touted, that's all stuff for us to write about.
But you know, you're absolutely right, and it's a great way to make a living because of all the lives you touch. Also out there in case, you know, at the mercy of the public, you know, and that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But Coach, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Anything you want to say on the at the end here?
No, I just, you know, appreciate you guys, you know, reaching out. I appreciate our friendship, and Lori never stopped wishing me good luck and congrats no matter where she
Even when I was on the other side.
That's right. You know, and just want you to know how much I appreciate the professionalism that both of you have had throughout
I've always
your career.
rooted for you, Wayne.
I appreciate
you
that.
know, there are special people that coach in the River Parishes, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of them. And I think it shows up week in and week out, and it shows up in our kids, and it makes our community better. And you know, and we appreciate everything you do to make that special.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. You're gonna get there, I promise. I kind of hope it's not terrible, but oh well.
I appreciate that honesty.
All right,
y'all take care.
Bye, Wayne.
Bye.
Well, that was our interview with Coach Wayne Stein of St. Charles Catholic, both the head football coach and head baseball coach. And
we pulled him out of a meeting for that.
Apparently, I think he used this as an excuse to get out of his meeting. Oh, got to take this.
The media's
glad
on.
we can help you get out of a PD meeting. Anyway, we thank you, Wayne, for taking the time to be with us. And take us on a little mini tour of campus while you were doing it. That was cool. We did kind of lose him at one point, so if you noticed, we had to reconnect there. You know, modern technology is great until it's not. But we enjoyed talking to him this week, and he's always one of those coaches that always called me back, and I would say, I got to come take your picture, and he'd say, why? But he was always very cooperative. And he even said that, you know, when he was going to state, I was at Riverside and I sent him a text message. I don't even know if you know this, but I sent him a text message and I said, I know I'm supposed to be a rebel now and all, but go Comets. And then it just kind of became a thing. Anytime they went to state, I just send him a little star and a thumbs up, like just wishing him luck. Because he's one of those ones that you root
He's a good guy. He's one of the good guys. You know? And we're very fortunate. I say this every week in the River Parishes to have a lot of good guys.
We have a lot of nice guys. Yeah. And women. We haven't really talked about volleyball, but we do have some good lady coaches out there who are working hard in volleyball and softball and swim and other things. And let's hear it for the girls.
Yeah, knock it out.
All right. Well, this was episode 5 of That Sports Couple. We made it to 5. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Good job.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you tell your friends. Tell 2. Come visit us. Drop a comment on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page or our Instagram page. We're also on Twitter, X. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to see, And what you think? How we're doing?
And one of the big things is this week, go to a game.
Yeah.
Go to a game.
Grab your poncho.
Yep. Go to a game, enjoy yourself. It's River Parishes football, and it's a special time.
And we have the best food. I'm sorry. Jefferson Parish and Jambalaya, Pastalaya at Riverside, wings at West St. John and St. James, and East St. John, I believe, still has wings. Hummus. We might have to get some wings.
Thanks for joining us. We love you.
And we love each other. You want me to tell a joke? I don't have one. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Hey, Marty. What did the fish say when it ran into a wall?
Ouch.
Damn. Bye.